Hey friends. Okay, so today, hopefully we have a really cool and interesting Dr. Seuss style landscape. We want to make sure, again, we're featuring these truffula trees. We want to make sure that our landscape follows some really basic landscape rules. For example, we have our foreground where our trees and our character are big and detailed. We have our middle ground here where our trees are medium size, all right, because it's a little further back. And then we have our background where our trees are a little bit smaller here. So we need to make sure that our sizing is correct with our foreground, our middle ground, and our background. And of course, any sort of other things you want to add. For example, I added the Lorax right here kind of peeping out through the front. I added the fish from Cat in the Hat, where he's in the little fishbowl. I want you guys to see if you can add any characters. And again, I put some pictures up if you do need to look at the characters. I know I did, in order to get them to look pretty accurate. All right, so our task today is really simple. If you want to add any more details, you go ahead and add more details. But I'm just asking that we go ahead and begin tracing our work. Again, if you have a good Sharpie, this is what I'm going to recommend. I always recommend like a really decent Sharpie. But again, it's okay. I know not all of us have these supplies at home. So we want to make sure if we do have a nice Sharpie, you're going to go ahead and you want to make sure you trace over everything that needs to be traced. That includes the ground, that includes the fluffy part of the truffula trees. It even includes the stripes on our truffula trees. Remember, they have kind of a scribbly stripe thing going on here. Get the land, and you want to double check that you have gone ahead and overlapped everything correctly. So you're going to erase things that shouldn't be there. For example, I had to erase this little line. If you don't, and I also have, if you really have a good collection of art supplies, I would also recommend maybe see if you can get a nice, really fine, super skinny one, Sharpie like this. I know a lot of these characters, they tend to have thick and thin lines. They look a little sketchy, a little furry. I know if you guys take a look at the Lorax, you know, he's very hairy. He's got this big bushy beard, and he's got these, angryish eyes. You guys got to make sure that we're trying to get this style to look like something Dr. Seuss would draw. So it is very sketchy. He's got little skinny Sharpie lines like this. But this is our big task today, is just going over your work, making sure that it all looks right and you're happy with it. If you don't have a Sharpie, I'm going to recommend go get a black colored pencil. It does the same thing, folks. Just make sure you're taking your time. You have hopefully a good pencil sharpener available. All right. Kind of trace over this guy here. If you're drawing in something other than a Sharpie, just be very conscious that when you go to do an eraser wash, I'm going to suggest to you kiddos, if you're drawing in pen, if you're drawing in color pencil, just make sure you trace over it really well, because you can't exactly do an eraser wash. An eraser wash is going to smear your drawing a bunch. So just do a good job tracing. It's still going to look really beautiful. So I'll outline this tree up here. And again, it's important that we have those characteristics that we see in a Dr. Seuss illustration. So you want to make sure we're really trying to keep our truffula trees nice and accurate, fluffy, and trying to stick true to the style of Dr. Seuss. So again, if you have a Sharpie, awesome. Trace in Sharpie and get your eraser and see if you can remove your pencil mark so it looks nice and clean. If you don't have a Sharpie, that's okay too. Just do your best and take a colored pencil that's black or a pen and trace over your work, but do not do an eraser wash. It's going to smear all of your work. Trace over everything, clean it up, have it looking fresh and ready to go. Tomorrow we're going to begin coloring and finishing up our final composition. I can't wait to see how these turn out. You guys are so creative and you're so good at drawing these days. Please post to Seesaw, show me your progress. All right, bye kiddos.